Hello guys, my name is Tabo and today I will be teaching you how to build and train a machine learning classifier that is going to be able to classify the iris data, right? So we're going to use the iris data set. This is one of the famous data set in the machine learning community. So our data set consists of 4 features. So if you can see here, there's 4 features and then there's labels as well there. So we're gonna use that to model our machine learning classifier. So now, how are we gonna achieve that? We're gonna use 4 simple steps to do that. So firstly, we're gonna import the data into our notebook, right? This iris data set, and then we're gonna try to split it into test set and a training set. This is very important, but I'll explain when we get there why we need to do that. And then we build our model to train it, right? Then we train it so that it's able to learn from our data. Then we evaluate to get so that we know or measure how good or how bad is our model performing, right? So let's get into it. So first step, like I said, we import our data. So we import data from the scikit-learn environment. So scikit-learn provide a couple of data sets for us to learn and use these data set when we learn machine learning, right? The nice thing with this data set is that specifically this one, it's clean. You don't have to do the cleaning and all these pre-processing steps before you can even start building your machine learning model, right? So that's the advantage. So from here you can just go straight into modeling, right, and training your machine learning. And then here we just we look at the features as so that to sort of see, is it the same features that we seen on that table that I presented earlier, right? So there you see here, and at least it's specified that these are measured in centimeters, this length and width, right? And then here we sort of print the labels, right? I like calling them labels. Here they're calling them targets, right? Or rather classes, you can call them like that. But then we move to step 2, which is now to split the data. Why do we need to split the data? We split the data so that we can have we move from 1 data set to 2 data sets, right? So the first one is the training set. This is the data set that you are going to use to train the model, right? And then the second data set, which is the test one, is this data set that we use to test the performance of our model later on. Once the model is trained, now we want to see, can it be able to identify new flowers or iris that it hasn't seen before, right? So that's why we reserve that for evaluation. So sklearn also provide a method called train test split. So it does the splitting for us. Here I'm only splitting to half. So it's 50% training set, 50% test set, right? Then we move along. See, very simple. We move to step 3, which is the fun part for me, the training part of it, or the modeling. So here we use a logistic regression, which is one of the models that sklearn provides for us to instantiate. So here I instantiate an object of type logistic regression, right? Then from then we fit. Fitting is actually training the model, right? We give it the train data, which is the train XY values, so that it can learn from the data. And then once it's completed, then we test. We move to the test phase, right? Then we can then use the metric which we import also from sklearn. So if you see as we go along that there's a lot of tools that the sklearn provides for us to do this process, right? Then we use the accuracy score, because this is one of the measures. It's not the only measure, but this is one of the measure we use to measure the performance of the model, to see how good can it classify or can it predict, irrespective of what it does. But then we need to give a measure how good it does that. So we use that to test our model, and that's it.